Naamá, the only wife of Solomon whose name is shown in the Bible. Naamá, the Ammonite princess, a character of great importance in the sacred scriptures mentioned in the Old Testament. Naamá played a crucial role in the royal lineage, being the wife of King Solomon and the mother of his heir, Rehoboam. In biblical scriptures, Naamá's name is mentioned briefly, being referenced mainly in relation to her son, who succeeded Solomon on the throne of Israel. Biblically, the narrative surrounding Naamá remains relatively unknown. In today's video we will discover how the influence of foreign people were able to corrupt the man considered the wisest of all. Awaiting shrouded in mystery for this story, we extracted several important information from the Bible and Jewish tradition to bring all the details of this magnificent story. Naamá was an Ammonite princess, daughter of the king of the Ammonites, an ancient Semitic nation. Her noble origins made her an important figure in regional politics at the time. The etymology of the name Naamá, which means pleasant or pleasant, adds an interesting dimension to her figure. It is intriguing to note that, of all the women associated with Solomon, Naamá is the only one whose name is recorded in the Bible. This inclusion may be attributed to her position as queen mother, yet it is a notable fact considering Solomon's vast harem, which included 700 wives and 300 concubines. In light of biblical tradition, this approach adds a unique perspective to Naamá's story, highlighting the importance of her position in the royal lineage and the uniqueness of her name among the women associated with King Solomon. However, the paucity of biblical information about Naamá continues to shroud her story in certain obscurity. Naamá's origin is a crucial aspect of her narrative in the Bible, and the sacred text highlights her origin as being an Ammonite. The Ammonites, descendants of Lot III's youngest daughter, occupied a geographic position on the eastern side of the Jordan and were often hostile to the Israelites. Furthermore, they were characterized by a strong inclination towards idolatry, revering the fearsome god Milcom, also known as Molech. The cult of this Ammonite deity involved morally reprehensible practices, including rituals that, according to many scholars, even included human sacrifices, especially of children. Therefore, the Ammonites were considered the people with whom the Israelites should not mix, given their beliefs and practices. Surprisingly, Naamá, King Solomon's wife and mother of his crown prince, was inextricably linked to these troubled people. This fact led many Old Testament scholars to classify the marriage of Solomon and Naamá as illegal, considering the restrictions and warnings present in the scriptures regarding the interaction of the Israelites with the Ammonites. This perspective adds an additional layer of complexity to Naamá's story and highlights the theological and social implications associated with her role in Israel's royal lineage. Some conservative Israelites viewed the Ammonites as historical enemies, which raised concerns about Israel's cultural and religious purity. Solomon's marriage to Naamá provoked criticism from these groups, indicating the internal tensions that arose due to this alliance. In addition to their political position, the culture of the Ammonites was also notable. Ammonites shared some cultural and linguistic similarities with the Israelites, but they also maintained significant distinctions in their traditions, beliefs, and religious practices. Ammonites, like other peoples in the region, had their own deities, rituals, and myths, which often differed from those practiced by the Israelites. Although the Bible does not provide specific details about Naamá's family circle, many interpreters suggest that she could be a princess of the house of Nahash, an Ammonite king defeated by Saul early in his rule, but who later established a friendly relationship with David. Although there is some speculation about Nahash's identity, some consider that he had two sons, Hanan and Sobi. There is a possible family connection indicated in a supplementary Greek text of 2 Samuel 10 verse 2, suggesting that Naamá could be the daughter of Hanan, son of Nahash. However, complexity arises when one observes that Hanan was hostile towards David when trying to console him for Nahash's death. This divergence of attitudes raises the hypothesis that Naamá was perhaps the daughter of Sobi, Hanan's brother. Unlike Hanan, Sobi demonstrated friendship towards David during his escape in the context of Absalom's rebellion. These intriguing elements about Naamá's family add layers of mystery and complexity to his story, highlighting the nuances and interpretive challenges surrounding the biblical records relating to this enigmatic figure. The question of the timing of the marriage between Solomon and Naamá is a point of contention among biblical interpreters, with limited clue provided by the sacred text regarding Rehoboam's age at ascending the throne of Israel. The Bible mentions that Solomon's reign in Jerusalem lasted 40 years, and later records that Rehoboam was 41 years old when he began his government replacing Solomon. Assuming the accuracy of these dates and excluding the possibility of a miscalculation of at least 1 or 2 years, it is inferred that Rehoboam was born before the beginning of Solomon's reign. Thus, the marriage between Solomon and Naamá probably occurred during the end of David's reign. Some commentators suggest that this marriage may have been, as was the custom of the time, arranged by David as a form of gratitude for the assistance he received from the house of Naamá. This speculation raises the intriguing possibility that Naamá may have been the first of Solomon's 700 wives. However, certainty on this point remains elusive, leaving room for varying interpretations and challenging scholars to further explore the details of the story of Solomon, Naamá, and her connection to the house of Naamá. The marriage of Naamá and Solomon had significant repercussions not only for their personal lives, but also for the destiny of the entire kingdom of Israel. Decisions made during this marriage, including the acceptance of foreign religious practices, contributed to a period of spiritual decay and political instability that eventually led to the division of the kingdom of Israel into 2 distinct parts. The description of the marriage between Solomon and Naamá remains shrouded in mystery due to the lack of specific information in the Bible about the character of this important figure in the king's life. The lack of details, including about Naamá's possible survival after the birth of her son, makes reconstructing this episode a challenging task. The conjecture about Naamá's personality is further complicated by the biblical silence regarding her. Some commentators, considering the meaning of the name Naamá, which means pleasant, speculate that she could have been a loving and devoted woman. Others attempt to establish a connection between Naamá and the Shulamite mentioned in the Song of Songs of Solomon, although there is no concrete evidence to support this association. Some turn to rabbinic literature, such as a Talmudic treatise, to find insights into Naamá's justice and virtue. In this context, there is the suggestion that God spared the Ammonites, including Naamá, during Moses' leadership because he planned to preserve a virtuous woman among them who would play a crucial role in the continuation of David's dynasty as the mother of Solomon's son. However, it is vital to highlight that the Talmud is a commentary and should not be equated with scripture, offering interpretative perspectives that vary between traditions. Thus, Naamá's story remains fraught with uncertainty, inviting scholars to explore different approaches and perspectives to understand her role in the context of her marriage to Solomon and the royal lineage of Israel. As Solomon's wife, Naamá likely played an important role in the royal court of Israel. She was not only a wife, but also a representative of the culture and traditions of the Ammonites in the Israelite court. Her presence may have influenced the political and social dynamics within the royal palace, providing a bridge between 2 different cultures. Naamá's marriage to Solomon not only shaped their destiny as individuals, but it also had a lasting impact on the history of Israel. And what some conservative Israelites feared happened. Despite his initial wisdom, Solomon became enchanted by several foreign women from different cultures, including Naamá. Solomon, with his wisdom, wealth, and power, lost control of his emotions, and during his lifetime he accumulated an impressive number of 700 wives and 300 concubines, even after several pieces of advice from his own mother about the danger that these different women could bring him. Solomon's foreign wives, among whom were Ammonite women, are mentioned as influences that led Solomon to idolatry, turning him away from the Lord. Solomon even built an altar dedicated to Moloch to please his foreign wives, an act that went against the principles of the Israelite faith. The decisions made during the marriage with Naamá, including the religious practices adopted, contributed to the scenario that eventually led to the division of the kingdom, marking a crucial period in the history of Israel and its relationship with other nations in the region. Solomon's actions and the prophecy of a descendant of David destroying pagan altars culminated in the division of the kingdom of Israel into Israel, 10 northern tribes, and Judah, southern tribes, led by Jeroboam and Rehoboam, respectively. Solomon's history was marked by great deeds, but also by great mistakes he made by not listening to God's laws. The Bible in Deuteronomy 17 verse 17 explicitly warned that the kings of Israel should not have many wives, as this would lead them to spiritual deviation. Solomon did not follow the advice of the scriptures and strayed from the correct path and gave in to temptations. Although it is unclear whether Naamá was among the Ammonite women who contributed to idolatry in Israel, his son Rehoboam, the fruit of this marriage, followed a deviated path before the Lord. The interpretation of some suggests that Rehoboam's behavior may indicate the lack of good references from his parents, Solomon and Naamá. Many interpreters consider that biblical references to Naamá seem to highlight her connection with negative events, especially as she was the mother of the king responsible for the division of the kingdom of Israel. However, it is crucial to recognize that, just like Ruth, a Moabite who became a faithful follower of the God of Israel, Naamá could also have been reached by divine grace. Even though it is mentioned in a negative context, the possibility of a spiritual transformation cannot be ruled out. Surprisingly, despite the imperfections and deviations of his lineage, Rehoboam, the son of Naamá, was included in the genealogy of Jesus in the New Testament. This highlights God's sovereign control over history, demonstrating that human weaknesses are not capable of frustrating God's redemptive acts over time. Naamá, the Ammonite princess, and her marriage to the legendary King Solomon not only offer us a fascinating glimpse into ancient politics and culture, but also teach us profound lessons about power, influence, and faith. The story of Naamá is a complex narrative of political alliances, cross-cultural love, and, eventually, spiritual decay. This account shows us how even the wisest and most powerful leaders can be influenced and diverted by external pressures, compromising their fundamental principles. Naamá, as a noble and influential figure, represents not only the beauty and complexity of human relationships, but also the importance of maintaining faith and integrity in the face of the temptations of the world. The marriage of Naamá and Solomon resulted not only in internal conflicts in Israel, but also in the division of the kingdom, marking a tumultuous period in the history of the Israelite people. This divide serves as a powerful reminder of the dangers of giving in to outside influences and the need to preserve the values and beliefs that define us. In the story of Naamá, the Ammonite woman who became the wife of King Solomon and mother of Rehoboam, we find a plot rich in nuances and interpretative challenges. The uncertainty about Naamá's personality and actions during her marriage to Solomon leaves room for speculation and debate among scholars. Her connection to Solomon's foreign wives, responsible for leading him astray into idolatry, highlights the potential negative impact that foreign influence can have on faith and spiritual life. The ambiguity surrounding Naamá leaves open the possibility of spiritual transformation, a reminder that divine grace can reach even those associated with negative choices. The inclusion of Rehoboam in Jesus' genealogy, despite the imperfections of his lineage, highlights God's sovereignty over history and his ability to redeem human weaknesses. Ultimately, Naamá's story is a testimony to the complexity of the human condition and the way God, in his sovereignty, can use even the most challenging events to fulfill his redemptive purposes throughout history. Therefore, Naamá's story challenges us to examine our own lives, to consider the influences that shape us, and to reaffirm our faith and principles even in the face of worldly temptations. May this ancient narrative continue to inspire us to stand firm in our convictions, reminding us that even in the complexities of life, truth and integrity are essential guides on our journey. Thank you for watching. Share this video with your friends, and leave in the comments what lesson you can learn from this magnificent story, and see you in the next video.